At this year's Asia Clean Energy Forum, obviously a lot of attention will be paid to ADB projects themselves and the people driving them. On Wednesday the 17th at 10:30, there will be a panel titled Gender, Innovation and the Use of High Technology in ADB Projects. And one of the ADB staff who will be making a presentation is Pradeep Tharakan, who joins me now from Bangkok. Pradeep, thanks very much indeed for talking to us today. Give us a sense of what you're working on and what you're going to tell ASEF this year.
Taibo, thanks for having me. What I'll be presenting or talking about is our experience as one ADB, different parts of ADB coming together to enable our clients to tackle key delivery challenges in the context of scaling up renewable energy. I think what's happened over the last year or so is that we're looking at a pivoting context in the ASEAN. Countries are getting increasingly serious about renewable energy, and they find that costs have come down, it's more affordable, and a lot of different stakeholders are demanding for the power sector to be greener. It is into that context that ADB entered with an end-to-end support, all the way from engaging them on policy, origination of projects, developing the actual projects, taking it to market, getting different private sector entities interested in what could be a public-private type arrangement, and then providing the financing. So it's end-to-end support all the way.
All right, and you're looking at one specific project that you've been working on for a while, and that's in Cambodia. Tell us about that.
That's right. So about 2 years ago, we've started engaging with the Cambodian stakeholders, and we got them interested in looking at solar seriously. They had taken a tentative first step towards solar by tendering out a 10 megawatt project, and we wanted to increase that ambition. So we had a discussion with them, did the necessary studies to get them comfortable around scaling up solar energy. And we worked with the utility and the government to put together what is now ASEAN's first solar park facility. We did all the preparatory work, took it to market, got the private sector interested, arranged the financing, and then helped them to conduct an auction that resulted in a historic low procurement price of 3.8 cents in 2019 for the ASEAN.
Fantastic. Why Cambodia? Apart from the fact that obviously they are interested in making a transition to clean energy and utilizing sustainable sources. But here in ASEAN, you're in Thailand, where there's a great deal of attention paid to sustainability, and we have any number of other countries. So how come Cambodia is leading this?
Well, I think Cambodia is interesting from many standpoints. It's a country that has, come out of a long period of conflict, has scaled up its energy sector, and is showing exceedingly high economic growth, but has been quite reliant on fossil energy and hydropower while having a large solar energy resource to contend with. So we thought this is a good opportunity to bring in increased awareness about this source of energy. The second big challenge was Cambodia isn't investment grade yet in terms of its sovereign rating. And so bringing in a financing package along with an MDB in the mix would actually improve and enable the investment climate to be much more attractive. And we wanted to test that hypothesis.
Tell me a little bit more about who else is involved in the project. How much partnership and collaboration with other entities has gone into this?
So we looked at 3 different parts of ADB working together. We've got the sovereign part of ADB, which is the Southeast Asia Energy Division that I'm a part of. We've got the Office of Public-Private Partnerships that looks to structure PPP projects with our clients. And we've got our private sector operations and our climate change SDCC, which is our climate change group that looks to bring in climate sourcing, climate funding for this kind of work.
Pradeep, it's great that you've had so much success with this Cambodia project. And if it can be successful in Cambodia, presumably it can be successful around the rest of ASEAN as well. And I understand that you have been working on a project and an idea that will help you be able to take the learnings from this and scale it up. It's called Ashore, right? Well, tell us about that.
Yeah, I think the Cambodia effort, we want to test our investment hypothesis, and clearly we were quite successful, and we're encouraged by that. And so now we're taking it regional through the Assure program. And I think increasingly in a post-COVID context, the trends that were evident before, increasing interest in renewables, ASEAN looking at auctions as a way of procuring renewables, and increasing demand from corporations looking for clean power, all of that is going to get amplified. And so there's going to be, none of these trends are going away. And so, but at the same time, progress is not guaranteed or preordained. So we need to work in a systematic way to make this happen. And that's where Assure comes in. So we are bringing to bear our sovereign operations, our private sector operations, and our public-private partnerships department group together to support our clients with end-to-end support. We all the way from preparing projects to transaction advisory, market sounding, to financing and financial close. Now, having said that, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. It's more to say we've got the full suite of options, and we will tailor the solution to the client's specific needs. And we will also bring to bear our partners' funding that's available and climate finance as well as appropriate.
All right, so let's just posit a hypothetical here for a moment. Let's say somebody from Thailand, for the sake of argument, is watching your panel and says, I'm really interested and I'm really inspired by what you've done in Cambodia. How can they then avail themselves of your knowledge, of your learnings, and begin a process of maybe implementing such a thing at home?
We've already started taking some steps in Thailand, actually. I think following the publishing of the Cambodia results, we were approached by the government to look at the pre-feasibility of a offshore wind project. And so we've completed that study, and we are in discussions with the government to see if we can take it to the next step. So that's really, I mean, this has happened all the time that, you know, an ADB staff is approached by an official from country A that comes to him or her and says, look, I just heard about what you did in country B. Can you do that in our country? And we said, well, of course we can. That's why we exist. So we've got the people, we've got the networks, we've got the technical assistance funding, we've got the project funding, and we're happy to help.
That's fantastic. And it's called Assure, right? So people can find that online. Because always at these conferences, you go and you get inspired in the moment and at the event, and then you go home and think, now, how can I follow up on that? Do you think virtual ASEF this year is going to maybe make that slightly more problematic? Tell me what you hope to see coming out of this year's conference.
Well, I think this is the first time we're doing it online. I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit of a deviation from tradition, but I think we've got to embrace the new normal. This is going to be much more accessible to people. I can see graduate students, people sitting at home joining in, because previously you had to actually, you know, put on a suit and turn up in Manila to really benefit from it. But now it is so much more open to everybody. You know, the discussions are so rich, the lessons learned, the successes, and also the failures. I think perhaps I think going forward, we do definitely need to focus, maybe have panels on the failures that we have had to contend with, or the near misses, if you will. But of course, the work then, you know, ASEF is a discussion, but the work then has to happen in the field. And it is through the different governments' own activities and plans and networks, intergovernmental platforms like the ASEAN, and through programs like Assure, that the good work that's discussed at ASEF then gets implemented or scaled up.
Let me just finish off by asking you about COVID. You mentioned a moment ago about how COVID has sort of intensified some of the trends. Just expand a little bit more on how you think the COVID phenomenon has affected the thinking in the clean energy space, and what you think it will do to the market and maybe to the conversation at the conference this year.
You know, I think essentially COVID-19 has stalled or, you know, lowered economic activity. Industrial activity is down, which means energy demand is down. But this is really like hitting the pause button. When the economic activity resumes, I think all of the pre-COVID trends we've talked about are going to be amplified. I think all around people are much more focused on resilience, sustainability, green growth. You know, major news outlets are talking about the possible end of king coal, oil prices being too low, and renewables being much more attractive. So just earlier today, a major international clothing brand contacted me, and they wanted to talk about, you know, what they see as perhaps some new emphasis on coal in one of the countries that they're sourced from in the region. And they were concerned because they've committed to 100% renewable energy utilization by 2030. So going forward, I think economies not just need to have smart labor and good infrastructure, but need to have green infrastructure and green power as well to be competitive. So I think the time is even better for clean energy deployment. But as I said, nothing's guaranteed. I think we need the programs, we need the right people, we need the right policies, and we need the effort to be, relentless for us to actually get to those goals.
You mentioned a slowdown. Do you think the slowdown is going to last very long, or do you think that there is a hope that we can begin to get back on a renewal path fairly soon?
It's my sense that I think there's already new activity. We're seeing green shoots around the region. Just last week, Malaysia indicated that it's going to launch a new solar tender, its fourth large auction. Myanmar has announced a gigawatt solar tender. Vietnam continues to pursue these things. There is other activity around the region. So I think definitely there are signs on the horizon that there's going to be renewed investment in the near term.
Pradeep, have a great conference and enjoy your presentation. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.